Hello and welcome to the SBK World Cup podcast. My name is Dan Levy and we're going to be bringing you 8 episodes across the tournament, which is of course coming up in Qatar in just a few days' time. Joining me for each one of those episodes will be the former Manchester United and England legend Gary Pallister, as well as the former Manchester United and England legend Lee Sharpe, both joining me down the line. Now, if you're looking for the best odds on the World Cup, you should check out SBK. You can get £30 in free bets by signing up and betting £10. Of course, you'll need to be 18 or over, and please gamble responsibly. Now, gents, we're going to get into it on this World Cup tournament. The first thing we should talk about is who do we think will win this edition of the World Cup? We're going to start with you, Gary, star, of course, of the SBK video series that led to this very pod. And I'd like you to let me know who you think will win the World Cup.
Well, after much thought and careful consideration, I've come up with France. I think they've got goals in them. So that's why I'm heading down that direction. Okay. I mean, there's no Pogba, no Kante, which is probably a blow for that squad. But I think in Benzema and Mbappe, they've got the firepower to win the World Cup.
All right. A bold choice of the former defending champions. Do we still have Lee on the line? Lee?
Yes. I think I'd just like to back Brazil in every World Cup. I think you've got a good chance that way.
Okay,
but I've not seen them play recently, but I think they've got some top players attacking wise, and I think they'll score goals. So I'm going to go for Brazil.
Okay, Brazil currently at 5.1 and Argentina 6.4 behind them, but France, the third favourites, are 7.8. So we've got 2 of the top 3. Jens, I'd also like you to pick out a dark horse, someone who you think could really make a strong run in the tournament, maybe not win it, but go far that people wouldn't expect. And I'm going to go to you again, Gary.
I mean, I know Belgium are probably at the end of a life cycle, and they've been expected to do well in competitions in the past. I just wonder whether they've got one last hurrah in them. Listen, they've got Kevin De Bruyne, who I think is the best midfield player in the world at the moment. Can he inspire them to do something that nobody would expect them to do? So, as a dark horse, I'll maybe chuck Belgium in there.
Okay, Belgium actually 9th favourites. So, pretty good shout there. Personally, also a very big KDB fan. Lee, do you have a dark horse you think is going to maybe not win it, but go far?
I'm going to go for a very random pick. I'm going to go for Senegal. I think it's nice. Time that one of the African nations sort of steps up to the plate and shows us what they're made of. And I think I fancy them to do quite well this year.
Okay, Senegal, of course, the reigning African champions, won the Africa Cup of Nations last year, I believe, beating Egypt on penalties in the final. I think it was the first time they'd won that tournament as well. And then they actually did the same thing to qualify. They beat Egypt with a penalty shootout in the qualification for this World Cup as well. So on a high, and of course, Sadio Mane, a big star for them, and perhaps somebody who could trouble the top of the next section we're going to talk about, which is the Golden Boot winner. So same thing, guys. I'm going to start with Lee this time. Who is your pick for the Golden Boot, the top scorer in this tournament?
Top goal scorer, I will go for Lukaku, Belgium.
Interesting.
I think.
Can you walk me through the thinking?
Well, I just think with the players he's got around him to deliver, I think he's going to find it difficult not to score. So I'm going to go Lukaku.
Okay, he's not favoured by the markets. I will tell you that. He's at 42, so you'd make good money if you were to bet on Lukaku to be top goal scorer. And then same for you then, Gary. Who do you think will be top scorer at this tournament?
Well, as I've gone for France, I'm going to go with Mbappe. He's got decent form at the moment with PSG. I know he's got a few things going on outside in the football world with different things, but I think this could possibly be his World Cup. To really, I mean, listen, he's already up there as one of the top players, but I think just really to cement his reputation as being one of the best in the world. If France, as I believe, can go on to win it, I think he'll score plenty of goals and be a big part of it.
Yeah, we kind of think of the last World Cup as Mbappe's tournament in a way, but he wasn't goal scorer. It was, of course, Harry Kane. Currently the favourite in the market. He got 6 last time out and 12 in qualifying. No one in UEFA qualifying got more than him. He was level with Memphis Depay. So Kane the favourite at 9.2. Mbappe's second favourite at 10. You've can also get Messi as third favourite at 12.5. Benzema as well, perhaps a good shout. He's in there at 14. So, yeah, I think Mbappe is certainly a very, very strong choice. Lee, you might be in for a very strong tip if Lukaku comes in. All right, gents. Well, listen, let's have a little focus on England. Of course, both of you know that England had a great 2021 in many ways. We didn't manage to win the Euros, but essentially went so close. Best tournament since '66, you'd argue. However, are they rubbish now? We've basically gone into this tournament having lost 3 games in our Nations League group, drawing 3, no wins, and dropping down into Group B. We go into it in terrible form. What are your thoughts on England? We'll start with you for this one, Gary. I mean, it was so close to bringing it home. Yeah. And 2022 has been an awful year so far.
It has. It's been really disappointing and a hard watch, hasn't it? We've gone from having a great World Cup, a great Euros, then all of a sudden we're getting beat off Hungary at home, I think it was, and it's left just kind of scratching your head and wonder where we've got injury problems as well. We've got players who aren't in good form. So yeah, I don't know what to make of England at the moment. I think losing Reece James is tough for us as well. So yeah, and I say loss of form as well. I think Harry Maguire, a lot of people talking about Harry, how we're going to play, what the formation is going to be. So yeah, we aren't feeling as confident about this England squad as we usually do.
Lee?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not a huge lover of the manager. I think he's I
thought this might come up.
He's a little bit too negative and defence-minded for me. I think that's what happens when you get a centre-half as a manager. But I think with some of the attacking-minded players we've got, I think he needs to go out and have a go a little bit more. I think for the group stage, you would expect us to get through the group stage, although the way we've been playing, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I just think he's a little bit negative. Last tournament, the penalties when he brings on players, first kick of the ball is a penalty. I don't think that's really good. Subbing Jack Grealish, I wasn't keen on that sort of decision. But yeah, as far as players, I think we've got some of the best players in the world, especially attacking wise. And if we can get the right balance of those on the pitch, then I think we've got a chance of doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much talent in that squad. You're right. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the penalties thing. As players who've done it, like what is that like to just come on and have to take a penalty in a shootout? I mean, and is that something that you consider a bit of a no-no as a player?
Well, I only ever took one penalty, and that was in. Oh, sorry, Sharpe.
Come on, Gary.
Just cut me off there, Sharpe. That's if I care.
He's taking the penalties off you as well,
I don't know whether you played. I think you did in the game in Moscow. Was it in Moscow, in Russia, when we drew 0-0 in the Cup Winners' Cup? And we went to penalties, and I missed and got us knocked out. Cost the club fortunes. But I only ever took one penalty, so I can't really talk too much about it because I missed.
Lee, does the idea of just coming on just to do that, is it a bit weird for a player?
Yeah, I think when you especially at that level, you got so much expectancy, and you come on, you're not quite at a feel of the ball. I think just to get up to tempo and up to speed of the game and get the blood pumping a little bit, I think would give you a bit of a chance. But no, I took a couple of penalties. My first league goal, funnily enough, was a penalty for Torquay when I was 16. I only took a couple throughout the rest of my career, but I think I scored them all, to be fair. But no, I wouldn't like to be coming on and just taking a penalty fresh off the bench.
No, didn't that.
And given your views on centre backs managing, go on, Gary.
I was just going to say, it was Mark Noble came on, wasn't it, for West Ham at the end? Was it his last game or something? Came on against Man United, didn't he, last season? And missed. Came on as sub to take the penalty and missed the penalty. So yeah, listen, I think it's a tough one bringing people on cold and what have you to take penalties when they're not up to speed with the game. There's heaps a bit more pressure on them, doesn't it?
And I'm guessing, given your views, Lee, on centre backs as managers, you're not putting Gary Pallister forward to replace Southgate should should Southgate move on?
No, not. There's a few ahead. There's a few ahead of him.
You want an attacking midfielder, maybe? Yeah, there might be a few ahead of him. Depends how if this pod goes really well. Who knows? Okay, so let's talk about the first game. England are taking on Iran. I believe it's the first time these sides have met, certainly in competitive games. It's on Monday the 21st. England traditionally have kind of struggled to get going in the early parts of tournaments. Presumably you're thinking they can get off to a good start against Iran in that first game. And also, who do you think will be starting? We don't have to go through the whole 11, but maybe the sort of more controversial areas, the areas where we're not sure of the centre-back positions. Start with you, Gary, on that one. Who do you think will play and how do you think we'll get on?
I think he'll probably stick with the people who have done him so well in the Euros. I think. Listen, I think he'll play. I think Harry will start. I think Luke Sharpe, will start at left back. I think he'll possibly go with Stones. Right back, you kind of hope Kyle Walker is fit and ready to go there. So I think he's still got a good competition left in him. And then the midfield areas are going to be up for debate, aren't they? Really, Mason Mount is making a hell of a late charge, producing some great form for Leicester. Will he be tempted to go and play him? I think Phil Foden's got to start. Raheem Sterling will probably start. Harry Kane. Will he go? He seems to have something against Jack Grealish. He doesn't really trust Jack Grealish. He's not really setting the world alight with Manchester City in a squad that is playing some unbelievable football. So yeah, I think he'll basically go with most of the team that served him so well in the Euros. But yeah, I mean, if they can hit the straps, if they can find some kind of form and some way to play, and get all this talent together, then we can be dangerous. But what we've seen lately isn't leaving us that confident, is it?
Lee, what are you expecting from the first game? I mean, obviously, Iran actually qualified in fairly impressive fashion. They were top of their qualifying division ahead of South Korea. Presumably, you're expecting an England win, though. I mean, I think the odds favour them quite heavily.
Yeah, I would certainly expect an England win. I would expect us to have the majority of the possession and have a lot of the ball, which I know it's a bit of a contentious point at the moment, but it might even be worth starting. What's he called? The right back from Liverpool.
Trent Alexander-Arnold?
Trent, yes, starting Trent. I don't even know if he's going to put him in the squad to start with because I don't. But I think you could possibly make an argument for him starting because of his delivery and what he brings attacking wise. I'd like to see Jude Bellingham start alongside Rice in midfield. I'd love to see Foden and Grealish in the same team, although they sort of play both sort of play on the left, so I think that might be a bit tricky. I would leave out Sterling myself, and I would possibly try 4-4-2 and maybe play Kane with Rashford up front. I'd go all guns blazing and try and dominate the game and score early.
Interesting. I think you're probably right about the midfield. I do think. I mean, Bellingham is a huge talent and seems to really favour Rice Southgate. So I think that's likely to be the two. Where do you think they'll finish in the group? Obviously, the other two teams being the US and Wales. Gary?
I think we win it. I'm sure Wales, as they always are, will be really up for that game. I think that'll be the pivotal match in that group. But yeah, I mean, again, you think we've got too much for a team like Wales. They've done ever so well to qualify for the first time in God knows how long, and they've got the X factor of Gareth Bale, who's I've seen him scoring for LA Lakers. Was it the other not LA Lakers? What's that team called?
He's I didn't see him shooting hoops.
I didn't see him shooting hoops. Yeah, LA Galaxy. Even.
The Galaxy.
Yeah, that's the ones. Yeah, seen him scoring for them the other day in the playoffs. So he's their kind of X factor. But you will play these teams in 10 times in a row, we win 9, wouldn't we? It's just that one-off game that can come and bite you on the backside. So, no, I expect us to win the group and then obviously find some bigger challenges ahead. But, when that group came out, I think everybody was delighted with what we had.
It's a bit of a cliche, but, they do say that teams grow into the tournament. We kind of did see that with Italy at the Euros, of course. They just looked like the team that really believed in themselves. Lee, how far do you think England can go here?
Well, I'm with Pally on this one. I expect us to win the group. I don't think it will be easy. I think America will be pretty tough. They'll be fit and physical. It'll be a tough game, and then obviously Wales will be like a local derby sort of game. So another tough one. But I do expect us to top the group. I think we've got enough talent in there and enough experience that we can cope with that. And then it's all about how they sort of perform in the knockout stages.
As you say, I mean, on paper, in many ways, it looked like a relatively favourable group, but actually they are 2 derby games, right? You've got Wales and the US, and then Iran is the opening game. The opening games can always be tricky. So who knows? Might not be as easy as it seems, but Pally and Sharpe both back in England to get through top of the group. Now, listen, we've got some idea of who we think might make the England team for this tournament, but I'd like to dig into your all-time England 11. So what we're going to do is we'll decide on a 4-4-2, but we can be flexible if you need. But I'd like us to just go through each position, and you can both pick your all-time England star for that position, and then you have to come to an agreement on which one goes into the team. So I'm going to start with you, Gary, and goalkeeper. Who would be your all-time England goalkeeper?
Wow. I'm going to show my age, and I'm going to go back to Gordon Banks because he pulled off the best save that has ever been seen.
Against Pele?
Pele.
From a header?
Yeah, that's the one. He plucked it from almost looked as though it was behind the line and somehow managed to flip it up over the bar, which was... I've seen Peter Schmeichel actually pull off a very similar save against Rapid Vienna. I don't know if you remember it, Sharpie, over at their place. Very, very similar to that. But he's not English, so he can't go in.
Okay. How about you, Lee? Who's your goalkeeper pick?
Well, I'm obviously not as old as Pally, so I don't really remember seeing Gordon Banks play. I would probably who would I go? I would probably go Would I go Peter Shilton? I think that was sort of more my era.
Shilts was understudy to
over 100 caps. He was awesome. Shilton.
125 caps, I believe.
125 caps, unbelievable. Yeah, I'd probably go with Peter Shilton. So we got to agree.
Okay, so now you have to agree. So Gary, can you make the case for why Banks of England is the right choice?
Banks of England is a World Cup winner. As I said already, he's pulled off the best save that ever was and has ever been seen, in my humble opinion. I think for many years he was top of the tree, and end game is he's sat there with that medal on his mantelpiece. World Cup winner, the only England goalkeeper to ever do it.
It's a strong argument, Lee.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can argue. I'm not sure I can argue with that, to be fair, apart from 125 caps sat around his bed. So I think I'll have to go with Gordon Banks.
All right, so Gordon Banks in goal. Let's go to left back. Lee, your all-time England left back.
All-time left back. I think I have to go again round about. Well, yeah, he was my era because I played with him. I'd have to go Stuart Pearce, Psycho. I think he was just a menace. I think he was fit. Yeah. He liked to get up and down the line on big marauding runs. I thought he was a nutter defensively. Good to have in the dressing room, and a top bloke. I'd go with Stuart Pearce.
Okay, Stuart Pearce. I believe he managed the under-21s, didn't he, as well?
I think he might have done, yeah.
Yeah, and of course played in the 1990 World Cup when England went to the semi-finals. And famously missed a penalty, but then came back and scored that one at the Euros in 1996. And that famous celebration. Gary, who's your pick for left back?
just to chuck another one in there, and he was a terrific player and was one of the first marauding kind of fullbacks, I think, and was in my first England squad that I got together, and that's Kenny Sampson.
Oh yeah.
He was fantastic. I think he got a shed load of caps as well. So he was a force to be reckoned with. He was quite a jovial character as well, as if I remember. So listen, I'm along with Sharpe on this one, so I won't put this to the test, because I'll probably, give Lee his head there and say Stuart Pearce, because he was larger than life. He brought a bit of physicality, a bit of mentality, a great free kick, and a leader on the pitch as well. So I will probably bow to Sharpe's choice here and go with Pearcey.
All right, very magnanimous of you. Okay, so we've got Banks, Lee Sharpe. We're going to move to centre back. Lee, do you want to pick Gary now, or do it for the right centre back?
What are you laughing at?
I was thinking of playing right back, to be fair.
Yeah. Way back in the dressing room.
Yeah, I think centre back. Who am I going to go for? I think you've got to pick. I don't know if anyone can argue about it. I think you've got to pick Bobby Moore as one of the centre backs, surely.
Yeah,
got it right.
You can't argue with that.
Can't argue with that one.
Do you want to just briefly make the case?
Well, I just think,
of course, captain of the World Cup winning side.
Yeah, captain of the World Cup winning side. Comfortable as a midfielder on the ball, could bring it out, could distribute the ball well. A leader, a proper captain, and like you say, a World Cup winner. So I don't think we can look further than Bobby Moore for one of the centre halves. Okay,
I'm going to make it easy, and you can have a centre half each. So Gary, who's your pick?
Oh, it's the next. Alongside Bobby Moore, who would I have alongside Bobby Moore? Wow.
No, Moore, not Moore.
Gee, me.
Moore.
Bobby Moore. Do you know what? I'm going to chuck Tony Adams in there. I think so.
Interesting.
He was in my era probably the best centre half, I think, that I played against. Again, a leader, serial trophy winner, Strictly Come Dancing champion, possibly in the future. I wish he was that light on his feet when he played football, but obviously not. But no, he was terrific. I played a few games alongside Tony, and he was a terrific player, great leader, destructive influence at the back, organizer as well. So yeah, I'm maybe going to chuck Tony in there. Don't know what Sharpe thinks of that.
Okay, heck of a Sharpe. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm happy for Rodders to get the nod. I think he's a top class defender, top class player, a good bloke as well. Like Pally said, another good leader on and off the pitch. So yeah, very very happy for Tony Adams to be in there.
I think one of the things people forget about Adams, he was seen as this kind of, his nickname used to be Donkey right back in the day, but he was actually a really, really skillful player. He could really play football as well. And obviously spent so many years at Arsenal, so I'm a bit biased as an Arsenal fan. Very happy to see you put Tony Adams in there. All right, we're going to turn to right back. Now, there are a number of, obviously, candidates with Manchester United links here, so I'll be interested to see where you go. Who's your all-time right back? I'm going to go back to you, Lee, for this one.
Right back. Who would I pick as a right back? Wow.
Should I chuck one in for you?
Right back. Go on, what? Go on, Pally, chuck one in.
I'm going to pick Viv Anderson.
Good shout.
Played with him at Man United, played with him at England, European Cup winner with Forest, could play centre-half as well. But I thought he was an outstanding right back. Tall, good at set pieces as well. Good fun in the dressing room, as you remember, Sharpe. but an outstanding fullback. A modern could easily play in today's modern game. Agile, good on the ball, great overlapping, and a terrific defender. So yeah, I'd have no qualms with putting Viv in there.
And he played for Arsenal.
Yeah, we can forgive him for that, though, can't we?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Lee, if you're happy with that, we can go with Viv Anderson.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Great choice, Pally. One of your better ones, to be fair.
That's a pretty formidable back line. Pretty formidable. Okay, let's move to midfield. We'll start with the left side. Who would be a pick for left mid? We'll go with a 4-4-2. That's for you, Gary.
Barnesy, John Barnes.
Good choice.
Outstanding talent. Scorer of great goals. Obviously, that one that sticks out in America. Where was the place that against Brazil? Was it where he beat about 6 of them?
The Maracanã.
Cutting across the pitch.
Heck of a goal, yeah.
And finished it with his right foot, his weaker foot. Later became a centre midfield player for Liverpool. But when he was in his pomp as a winger, wow, what a player. Difficult to get the ball off. Could use both feet. Destructive. Great close control. I think he was an outstanding player and the best probably England have seen.
Okay. Lee, who's your pick for left mid?
No, I can't argue with that. John Barnes was one of my heroes. I think he's one of the best players we've ever produced. And like Pally said, when he was in his pomp, unplayable. So yeah, I'm very happy for John Barnes to be in there.
Okay, John Barnes is in. We'll move to centre mid. We'll do the same with the centre back. You get one each. So Lee, who's your pick at centre mid?
There's only one for me, and that is Captain Marvel himself, Brian Robson. Played with him for 8 years at United, or 7 years or something. I can't remember when he left, but played with him for England. A leader on and off the pitch. Knew exactly what the game needed at any moment in time. Looked after everyone. Was just a phenomenal player. Probably one of the best, if not the best player I ever played with, I think.
Okay, Brian Robson, former captain, of course, as you said. Gary, who's your pick for centre mid?
I wouldn't argue with that either. Obviously, we saw him up close and personal at United, and he was an incredible, probably the best player I ever played with. But you can also leave out Paul Gascoigne. The guy was a genius, incredibly funny as well, and a great character. But what he could do on a football pitch, has he ever been an England player like that? Probably not. Really arrived in the World Cup in 1990, was it? And nearly stole the show there. And who can forget him? When he got booked, and he was going to, if we got to the final, he would have missed it. But he was an outstanding player. Had a God-given talent. Could somehow just cruise past people. You'd wonder how, but his balance was incredible. Scorer of great goals, great passing range, could beat men. I mean, he was a great player, and this was, you know what I mean. He had a cruciate ligament injury as well, which probably curtailed him a little bit. But I think the word genius is easily used and bandied about, but I think that's exactly what Gaza was.
Okay. Now we're going to turn to right mid. So I want to pick each. Gary, we'll stay with you, right midfielder.
Right midfielder. I'm probably going to go with Bex to play in that role, because he can just create things. His delivery, his passing, his work rate, energy that he brought to England sides. And people sometimes say he's not world class. Well, believe you me, David Beckham was world class. And I hate to think how many goals he created. He scored some great goals. And that goal against Greece, was it at Old Trafford, when he got us to the World Cup finals. It lives long in the memory. Also captain England, did he as well for a while. But yeah, mainly his delivery was the source of many goals for England.
Okay, it's a very strong choice. Yeah, he did captain England, and of course Beckham was for a while the outfield player with the most England caps. Now that record goes to Wayne Rooney, and he's of course just behind Shilton. Lee, who's your choice for right mid?
I'm not sure I can argue with Pally, to be fair. I quite like his David Beckham choice. I would have thrown in the hat maybe Chris Waddle, just because he was another one of my heroes as a winger. I love watching Chrissy Waddle go past people, but I don't think I can really argue with Pally's decision. I think David Beckham's probably the standout candidate for the wide right midfield role.
Okay, Waddle for the record, I think 62 caps for England. Okay, we've got a strong midfield. Bit of a Man U flavour to it, just pointing that out. Let's move up top then. Who have we got as your striker? I think here we'll do the same thing. We'll have one striker each, but I'd like another. If there's another name you'd like to mention, we can give an honourable mention as well. And we'll go to you first, Gary.
Probably because of his all-round game as well, and not just his goals. I would probably go for Wayne Rooney. I think when he was at the height of his talents, he was such a tough player to play against. Scorer of all kinds of goals. His work rate was phenomenal. And he was multifacets to his game. You know what I mean? He wasn't. I mean, he was decent in all facets of his game. And scored some wonderful goals. Never got near winning competitions when he was there, and what was supposedly a golden era, along with Gerrard and Lampard and people like that. But yeah, when he was right in his very pomp, he was certainly a world-class player and scored plenty of goals for England.
I think England might have won a tournament if he'd stayed fit in Portugal in year 2004.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Rooney, of course, England's all-time record goal scorer. That might not last for long with Kane hot on his heels on 51, but Rooney currently out there in the front with 53 goals. Lee, let's have your choice then for the centre forward in this all-time England team.
I'm going to go with Alan Shearer. I just think unbelievable centre forward, goal scorer, held it up well, did the basics really, really well, and just scored an unbelievable amount of goals. I'm going to go with Alan Shearer up front. Okay,
Shearer famously didn't make it to Man U, but of course had an amazing career in the Premier League and was a Premier League winner. And of course spent a long time at Newcastle scoring a lot of goals and won the title with Blackburn. Okay, so we have our team then. In goal, Gordon Banks. Left back, Stuart Pearce. We have Bobby Moore at centre-back alongside Tony Adams. Viv Anderson at right-back. John Barnes on the left of midfield. Brian Robson in the centre with Paul Gascoigne and David Beckham on the right. And then we have Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer up front. Not a bad team, I think we'll all agree. And would have a very good chance of going all the way in Qatar. Okay, listen, we're going to do one more section, guys, and we're going to this time pit you against each other. This is a section we're going to do with every episode. It's called Who's the Sharpest Pal? So we're going to make it competitive. It is a quiz. There'll be 5 questions. You're each going to answer. And whoever gets the answer right gets 1 point. Now, you could both get it right, but whoever gets the answer right gets 1 point. And at the end of this tournament, we'll tally up. At the end of this tournament, we'll tally up who's got the most points. And whoever has the most points will get a mystery prize. And we haven't decided what that is yet. It may or may not be some merchandise from Lee Sharpe's clothing brand. Okay, we're going to start with, what number World Cup is this? And we'll go to you first, Gary.
Oh, what number World Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
How many World Cups will we have had when this one starts?
All right, was it 19?
No Googling.
No, 1930. The World Wars we got to put in. And
He's doing the mental arithmetic.
Yeah. So
I'm going to give you a time limit. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds.
It must be more than that. Oh, no. 24.
24. How about you, Lee?
25.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to give this to Gary because Gary's actually closest. It was 22.
Wow.
It will be the 22nd FIFA Men's World Cup.
Wow. 20. It's not a lot, is it, really?
So Lee tried. Not as many as you'd have thought. Well, clearly not as many as you two thought. Lee tried to be sneaky,
I know he did.
but it's backfired, and Gary's taking the point.
Cost him dearly.
Miroslav Klose is the top goal scorer in World Cup history. How many goals does the German international have in World Cup tournaments? You're first, Lee.
I'm going to go with, I don't even know how many times he played in the World Cup. How many World Cups did he go to? I'm going to go with...
I think he did 4, 3 or 4.
I'll go with 21.
21. Okay.
I'm going to do a Sharpe.
Gary?
I'm going to go 20.
Sure you are. I thought you were going to say 20. I thought you were going to say 22.
No, 20.
No, 20 is the sensible choice because the actual answer is 16.
Oh, I was going to go 15.
Of course,
I had the choice to go
16.
Go 20.
16.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, I think he surpassed, who had 15, and Klose got 16 World Cup Finals goals.
Well, that might all
so
change,
that's a point to you, Gary Pallister. I think you're 2-0 up in this shootout. Okay, next question. Which England player has the most World Cup goals? And that's going to go to you first, Gary.
Oh, which England player? What in the finals?
In the finals, yes.
In
not
the finals.
in the qualifying.
In the finals. Wow. Could that be? Could it be? I'm gonna go with Lynx. Gary Lineker.
Gary Lineker?
Yeah.
How about you, Lee?
Yeah, he would have been my choice, really. Who's got the most World Cup goals for England?
You can't pick Gary Lineker.
No, I can't.
If you pick Gary Lineker, we'll ask how many goals. We'll ask how many goals if you pick Gary Lineker.
So is Gary Lineker the right answer then?
There's a clue there, Sharpe.
I'm just saying if you pick the same answer, we'll ask how many goals this person got.
I'll say Gary Lineker then.
You sussed me out there.
You might very well the answer there, Dan. Tell you, Lord.
I think I was non-specific, but I take your point.
Yeah.
The answer is Gary Lineker. How many goals did he get?
Yeah, you have to go first on this one.
How many goals?
How many goals did he get?
I'm going to say got...
You know it's under 16.
I'm going to say 12.
12 for Lee. Gary?
And I'm going to go 11.
Yeah, of course you are.
Of course I am.
Well, you'd be right, Mr. Gary Pallister, because the answer is 10. Famously, of course, he was top scorer at the, I believe it was the 86 World Cup he was top scorer, wasn't he? Won the Golden Boot. Right. Harry Kane did the same in Russia in 2018 with 6 goals. So if he does that again, he will be the all-time England World Cup goal scorer. But for now, it's Gary Lineker with 10. Okay.
Dan.
2 more questions.
Dan. What's the score, mate, now?
Yes, Gary.
What's the score?
I believe it's 1-2-3-0 to Gary Pallister right now. So you've effectively
won this first part,
but this is an aggregate score.
You've won the first.
You've won this first round, but it is an aggregate score. Cool. So we're going to need to add up all of the scores at the end. But you're 3-0 up. So which England player? This one is going to go to Gary. Which England player did Lee play all of his 8 England caps with? And I won't give you this question, Lee. It's just for Gary.
Which player did he?
Yeah. Lee played for England 8 times, and he played all of them with another player.
Oh,
I have a feeling Lee won't know this.
There's a number of people it can be.
So I'm thinking I've got like 3 names in my head.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's not me.
I'm going to push you for an answer. You can say
Seaman.
pass.
Dave Seaman.
The answer I have is not David Seaman. Lee, do you know?
No, because
He's gone missing.
Chris Woods as well.
Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. Producer Adam says it is Ian Wright. It's Ian Wright, Lee.
Ian Wright?
Wow.
Ian Wright.
I would never have guessed that.
I wouldn't have thought Wrighty would have.
Hero of mine as a kid.
Yeah, he was in and out quite a bit, Wrighty, wasn't he?
I think he played 30-odd games. I might be wrong about that, but... Okay, so we're going to do an equivalent question. So this time it's your question. It's about Gary, but it's for Lee. Gary made his England debut against Hungary in 1988. What was the score in that game, Lee? Gary's England debut against Hungary in 1988.
2-0 England.
Gary, do you know it?
It was 0-0.
0-0.
The next stadium,
and I'm afraid that's your score.
That was a bit easier, that one, than yours,
the final score in this first round.
4-0.
That was a bit easier. Sharpie got a bit of a difficult question there, but we're going to make that 3-0.
No. You can't bend the rules now. It's 4-0. It is 4-0.
Well, because you knew your own question.
Yeah, well,
right, I'm gonna.
Come on, guys. These are
we
the rules.
didn't make him do his question because it was unfair.
Might be important. I might need this.
Hey, how can it be 4-0? You didn't say Ian Wright.
He's buffering. I can't
hear
him.
Say Ian Wright. He said you didn't say Ian Wright, and I'm going to allow that argument from Lee, and we're going to call it 3-0 to Gary Pallister. He's already got a healthy lead. All right, guys, listen. We're going to. On that note, we're gonna draw this one to a close. Thank you very much for joining me, Gary and Lee. We'll look forward to speaking to you next time. The next episode of this podcast is out on Tuesday, the 22nd of November, of course, after that first England game. So don't forget to tune in for that, and please like and subscribe, whichever platform you're watching or listening this on. And thank you for listening and watching. We'll speak to you next time.